Hi everyone, I'm here with Patrick Mulvaney of Mulvaney's, and what I want to do today is talk about really great things happening in Sacramento. And Patrick is one of the great things happening in Sacramento. And part of what we're doing here, but hopefully in a series of these, is that to introduce to you or really talk about the great things happening in Sacramento. Now, Patrick is known in Sacramento. He probably doesn't like this, but as a godfather of the food movement here. But we're the farm to fork capital here. But that doesn't just mean food on the table. It means much more. Right, Patrick?
Food on the table, food getting to the table, food, how it grows, and who we give it to, too.
Right.
Does everyone have, we talked about this before a lot, right? In the richest agricultural region in the world, how do we make sure that everyone gets sufficient, nutritious, tasty food?
That's right. What was your idea? I know you've really been working on this a long time, but farm to fork really does mean farm. I mean, the farms around us, wonderful farms we have.
When I came here 20-something years ago, I fell in love with Sacramento because all of a sudden I could meet the guy who grew the endive, and my neighbor brings me lemons, and there's herbs growing out front, and if I wanted to use bay leaves for stock, then the tree is across the street. So I came here and fell in love with it. 20 years ago, many people were saying, why are you here? What are you here for? And I said, because I love this place. This is great. And so for me, farm to fork, what's grown out of it, cool that we're talking about food and we're eating food. But more important to me in some ways is that what's grown is civic pride.
But you have also been focusing so much on, the fresh food, produce, meats and everything, but on the importance of nutrition and the importance of understanding that, a lot of people don't get the food that they really need and deserve.
Or don't know how.
Right.
And a lot of it is that you just don't know where it comes from. Now, I think an inordinate amount of time about food, right? My day is spent surrounded by that. But we know that with just a little bit of help, other people do it too, right? So there's a place called Oak Ridge Elementary, right? down on Martin Luther King Boulevard, and we do a dinner. They do dinner for the stars. 5th and 6th graders created dinner for 120 people every year. It's great, and I thought really that no one would show up, right? That somebody would be like, here's a check, thank you very much, but 120 seats, 120 butts in those seats every year. So the first year, the kids said, I said, what do you guys want to do for dinner? Barbecue, fried chicken, mac and cheese. Okay, this is farm to fork, right? We're going to go to the farmer's market. We're going to show you what this is all about. Year 5, what do you guys want to do for a salad? I want to use those red things. Pardon me? Beets. What's the matter with you, chef? And then another kid says, my mother gave me beets with walnuts.
Wow.
And the third one said, hey, we had walnuts with blue cheese. Hey, my uncle has a lemon tree in the backyard. Can we use that for a vinaigrette? And so those kids came up with a salad that you could eat at the BNL.
That's
that we would put on the menu.
amazing. That's amazing.
So we know that we've changed those kids, right, and the way they look at it. And then we know that we've changed the school, right, because if I read to the 2nd graders, and instead of saying, I have a pink ribbon in my hair, or look at my new sneakers, what they say to me is, Chef, I told my mother no more mashed potatoes. I want spaghetti squash. My dad comes to pick me up on Saturday morning, and we go to the farmer's market every week because we go and buy dinner and then make dinner together. So we know that from one day a week, kids have changed in the class, and kids have changed in the school, and we have to hope that we're changing the community too.
So it's kind of one school by one school, but you're also thinking much more globally too. And I've seen you many times in Washington. You're meeting with agricultural committees about SNAP and things like that, about the programs we have in order to ensure that there's food for more people, because this is really unbelievable in this great country. People still go hungry.
And people go hungry, and they don't know why. And so, with your help and others, so we have 35 farmers markets, right, here in Yolo and Sacramento. And at every one of those farmers markets, because of what's called the Feeney Grant, you can take your card and swipe it, and you'll get a $5, a $10, or $20 match. And so you're, in essence, doubling your money. Right? So we went with some college kids we're trying to teach college kids how to teach, right? It's what we do at the end of the day. So we took them to a farmer's market. I don't want to go there. I don't like eggplant. It's too expensive. This is horrible. And then showed them a meal. They then taught it to high school kids. Same thing. Too expensive, don't like that. They ate it. I said, what do you think? That was good, chef. I like that. I said, so this meal that we thought was for 4 is actually for 6, right? Oh, yeah, that'll feed 6 of my family. And how much do you think it cost? I don't know. It's $15. And if you had that SNAP card, it'd be $10.
Oh.
So here, now these kids know that for $1.75, they've seen that you can go to a market and make a 3-course meal with leftovers.
Wow.
That's nutritious and that you'd want to eat again. And and you're right, it's a combination of how do you touch each individual person and how do you touch people globally to move things. Now you're the global mover, you're not me, right?
But I just really find this interesting because I think at the very beginning of this, people thought, oh no, we can't possibly do this. People won't want to have fresh fruits and vegetables. It's too much trouble. But my understanding now from what I hear is that this is caught on in essence. People seem to understand that nutrition is important, freshness is important, less processed, more fresh. And is there a sustainability element to this too? I was just thinking about the fact that you educated a few people. Do those people keep going on? But you also have a bigger platform too, because you are a chef. You can talk about the nutrition elements from the beginning, and because you are a chef, you see a lot of food waste too. So what do we do next with that?
And so so you're right, we get to, because you have a restaurant, you meet people where they are, which means that you come at them with different perspectives for the same issue. And one of the big ones is food waste, right? I mean, 40% of everything that grows doesn't end up on the table. So how do you make that better? Well, now here you're sitting in a restaurant that's 99.5% landfill free, right? So we've gone from, and I used to say it was 3-4 yard dumpsters a week, but that was just the garbage going to landfill. And we've always had 2 that were filled with cardboard and plastic and tin going as well. And we've reduced all that otherwise would go to the landfill to less than a 5-gallon bucket, just from going to an anaerobic digester, right? But the folks at UC Davis developed.
That's great.
So neat that we are, and it's great, and it is great, and sometimes it frustrates me because it's a little small. And that's where I start to look to you to say, how do we make it global, right? How do we make it better? And then we see people like the Golden One Center and Legends and the Kings working to help reduce waste as well. We see UC Davis just starting their movement to start pushing on how do we feed people better? How do we get them to eat? How do we make sure that we waste less food? And if we do it here, where we're feeding a couple hundred people a day, but my friend Santana Diaz is a chef at UC Davis, and he's doing it with 7,500 people a day.
It's wonderful.
Think about the change.
That is a movement.
And it begins here. One of my friends came back from North Carolina, and they were in Raleigh. They said they were in a restaurant. He's like, yeah, chef, it reminded me of yours. It was good. I said, this is a really nice restaurant. And the host said, yes, in North Carolina, we're trying to do that farm to fork stuff like they're doing in Sacramento.
Oh, is that wonderful?
Because he didn't know. Yeah, he thought the guy was from San Diego. He didn't even know he was from here. So they're talking about us all around the country.
Oh my goodness, that's wonderful. Would you have thought you'd be in this place today? I mean, where people are really talking about Sacramento being sort of, in a way, a birthplace of this?
No, I guess maybe. I guess I didn't think about it, right? I mean, I thought about it as here is a place that I love. When I moved here, right, when I came to stay, my first boss from an Irish neighborhood in New York said, Sacramento, what do they got there? Tomatoes? What's the matter with you? Expecting that I was going to come home. I remember saying to him, it's just like Rockaway Beach, except for the ocean is more narrow and goes sideways. And all the pig-headed people here aren't Irish. But, it was because in that first restaurant in Rockaway where I worked, what I saw was that the restaurant became the gathering place for the community.
Sure.
It became the gathering place for immigrants, the Irish coming into town, and for the families in the neighborhood, and really became a place to build the community. So when he came out, someone asked Dan, what's the point, of having a restaurant, Patrick? This is great. Is it all about the food? Is it all about this? And Danny said, no, I think that at the end of the day, having a restaurant or being a part of the community is where we gather together. The restaurant is a place where we gather together to tell the old stories, and through that, make our community stronger.
That's great. That's really great. Now, I was just thinking, if there's something just looking ahead, what is on your wish list here?
So my personal wish list is trying to figure out how to get through to unlikely suspects, right? What it is that we're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
If we just say at the end of the day, we think in the richest agricultural region in the world, everyone is entitled to adequate, nutritious, delicious food. How do we get there?
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes I don't like you because you're wearing red or blue or green or white, or your shoes aren't tied, or my hair isn't combed, or I don't have any hair in 2 weeks, and what happens if, so my wish for the future is that instead of starting with why I'm against you, being able to look in the future and saying, over there is what we want. We want a world where everyone has enough to eat, where everyone has a warm bed, where everyone feels proud about being from Sacramento. And I'm going there. Can you help?
That's great, because that's where I believe we should be too. That we have our differences, but can we look a little ahead to see where do we need to go to? What is it that's important there? And I see what you're doing, being able to also have people around the table. There's nothing like having people around the table and sharing a meal.
And we know that if you put people around, so in your work, things that always elude me are conferences and papers and talking and meetings and all that stuff. So we look at it like a teeter-totter, right? With very important policy stuff, as I'm sure is true. But I sit on the other end of that seesaw, where I believe that if you put people of goodwill into a room with food and bread, and they get to break bread and have a conversation, that out of that will come positive social change.
That's good. That's really good. Well, thank you, Patrick. I really
Well,
appreciate
thank you.
the time with you, and perhaps we can follow up with another episode.
Absolutely. And we appreciate you and everything you and your staff does for Sacramento every day.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thanks.